Well, investigators might not know the official cause of the Gold Coast helicopter collision that killed 4 people for months. Authorities have been able to retrieve key items from the scene, including recording devices, which will hopefully uncover what happened in the moments before impact. Joining me now live is aviation expert Keith Tonkin. Keith, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, it's very early days, but what lines of inquiry will investigators pursue to try and piece together what happened here?
Morning. Yeah, there's lots of information to gather, not only from all of the eyewitnesses and the video recordings that were made during the accident, but also information that might have been on the aircraft, electronic recording devices, cameras on board, all of the information that goes in behind the operation itself, and information about the aircraft, the weather, the air traffic control information. There's a lot to get through, and it's going to take some time.
There has been some suggestions that crash investigators will consider whether perhaps the pilot who was killed has his view obstructed by passengers seated next to him. Can you give us an indication of how the inside of a helicopter works and how difficult it would be if your view was obstructed?
Sure. I mean, these helicopters have a glass front, a very large view is available to the pilot. They're both seated on the left-hand side of the front of those 2 helicopters, and they should have a very, very clear view as they look out to be able to make sure that they can see the aircraft that they need to avoid. They're deliberately and intentionally designed to provide maximum amount of visibility.
Amazingly, the other pilot managed to land safely. How incredible is that?
He did a really great job. If you've seen the images of the aircraft after it had landed, you can see that basically the face of the helicopter was wiped off, and there's a massive wires sticking out from behind the instrument panel, and it might be easy to conclude that the pilot didn't have all the information that he would normally have about airspeed, about height, about rate of descent, about the sort of power output that the engine was making to keep the aircraft airborne. And without that information, he was really innovating his way through controlling that aircraft until he landed it safely. So that was a really phenomenal outcome for him.
Yeah, absolutely miraculous. Now, authorities have so far been able to retrieve key items from the scene, including recording devices, which you mentioned. What will this information be able to tell them?
Well, it'll tell them situational information about where the aircraft was, potentially in respect of the other one, from both of those helicopters, and the relational positions as they progress through the short flight that the aircraft taking off took, and to be able to add a little bit of information to all the other information that they will gather to help try and find the reasons for what happened, and they'll hopefully be able to use that information later to ideally prevent it from happening again.
Well, absolutely, fingers crossed. Keith Tonkin, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks.